For more, let's bring in BMO Head of Healthcare Research, David Seigerman. Evan, great to have you with us. How do you think about this in terms of the impact on other vaccines, as Angelica had pointed out?
Well, I think this general anti-vaccine rhetoric is not great for public health. As Angelica said, the COVID vaccine for kids is such a small portion of the current sales. I don't even model it out in my Pfizer and BioNTech models for what it's worth. Really, the bulk of my sales are contracted outside of the United States. And of course, for folks who are, older folks who are at risk in the United States. But it's this vaccine rhetoric that just has a cascading effect to HPV, MMR, all the vaccines that kids usually get. And of course, this rhetoric out of Florida isn't great either.
It seems like it would be key to see what insurers do. If insurers decide ultimately to still pay for vaccines despite what ACIP, the committee that approves vaccines, despite what ACIP recommends. I mean, are you looking at that as sort of key to understanding how their recommendations will be viewed?
For sure. And I think the insurance coverage and also the availability to get a vaccine just from a pharmacist without a prescription is really important as well. I don't see, the MMR, the HPV, all these, kind of common vaccines being taken away or not insured. I think that would actually probably cause some backlash. I think the COVID vaccine is a bit of a flashpoint. There's a push and pull saying there's not enough data. And it just seems like more of a political push versus, something that's actually a public health problem. I mean, the diseases are public health problems, but, the use of the vaccines are not.
Ernest Cairns, thanks for being on. So to further that point, do you think regardless how this particular thing plays out, that still there's such a headwind against, Moderna and Pfizer?
Well, I think, so for BioNTech and Pfizer, for example, I mean, Moderna's whole business is COVID. Pfizer, obviously much more diversified. It's incredible, and it's a shrinking part of the business. So there are other issues that Pfizer is dealing with. We're looking at their LOEs. What are they going to acquire? Their whole oncology franchise. With BioNTech, COVID is part of the revenue component, but a lot of the go forward is what they're doing in oncology. Recall that they have a big partnership with Bristol Myers for the PD-L1 VEGF bispecific in lung cancer. So from an investor perspective, the focus is shifting away from vaccines, but from a headline perspective, a day like this really shows that investors get a little jittery, or the generalists get a jittery, and they're not thinking about kind of what else these businesses have.
Evan, while we have you, we are on the eve of a big diabetes meeting in Europe over the weekend and next week, and I'm wondering what are the key days, the key presentations, readouts that you're looking for?
So I think the biggest is, of course, the orforglipron data, which I came on mid-August. We spoke about. We're going to learn more about what happened with that, why did it underperform, and most importantly, what clinicians are saying about that. I think if I were to look at this whole event, I really want to understand, is that 11, 12% good enough? Do I need that 16%? What is an acceptable, nausea and vomiting rate? And then also, what about the food effect? We talked about that when it came to high-dose oral semaglutide as a potential headwind for Novo Nordisk. And is that a real issue that clinicians see if and when they use this in the real world?